of victory for any candidate who wants to win, wants administrative seats in the world's most populous black nation. All eyes will be on Kano. Forthcoming presidential election stated for Saturday, February 28th, is as about 5.9 million votes will be up for grabs in Nigeria's most populous state, according to the 2026 National Census. 4 names seem to be on the lips of Nigerians as 18 candidates battle to woo the electorate. Emeka, it's not as if the number of registered voters in Kano, is more than Lagos. But over time, the turnouts, the number of people that actually vote election day, Lagos since 1999 has been nothing to write home about.
Yes.
For both presidential and all the election. So we are not Lagos. We are not really using, as of today now, 0.1 million registered voters in Lagos. But to determine the election of Governor Sanwo-Olu, less than 2 million people participated in that exercise. So, but up north, Kano is a place that immediately they were counting the votes of 2015. At the point in time when they just came with Kano, 1.9 million votes. At that time, it became difficult. When other votes from Delta, Enugu and some other states, they couldn't just catch up that figure. So the wide margin that Kano gave the All Progressive Congress is like a kind of head start. So if you want to win Kano now, if you want to be the president now, that means you must take the chunk of Kano's votes. So it's a battleground state.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. But you also like that. It was Muhammadu Buhari that was on the ballot in 2015 and 2019.
Yes.
And he was an old war horse. He had been there, he had been running from the CPC, from AMPP to CPC and then to APC. So, of course, there had now become that kind of familiarity with the voters, particularly in the north. So, by 2015, 1.9. But by 2019, yes, he beat Atiku, resoundingly. But I think it came down to 1.4 or so by 2019. So you find out that he's not going to be on the ballot February 25. So that idea, taking things for granted, which he had that advantage between 2003 and 2015, 12 good years will not be, available to any of the presidential candidates running, or, that will be on the ballot.
Some might have advantage. They might take advantage.
Yes, auxiliary factors. Maybe for the fact that, who is the governor of the state, who are the members of the House of Assembly, who are this, who is that. But don't forget again, one of the people on the ballot is Kwankwaso, a former governor of Kano State, who was governor, came back after how many years and picked Ganduje, who, as his running mate, he won again, and Ganduje is a sitting governor. So a lot of factors have been, a lot of factors will come into play. But the interesting thing is that the candidates will have to work really hard this time. Nobody can just sit back and say, okay, because my governor, because my party member is this or that, then it's just a matter of, will come into play. So,
Kano is a battleground state, undoubtedly.
Indeed it is. Emeka said the candidates have to work hard. I think they're already working hard. I think the candidates already know what the stakes are. Look at Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, for example. Look at all the times he has visited Kano. And of course, he will be banking on the what Ganduje can pull.
The sitting governor.
Yes, and again, of course, while it is true that Buhari may not be as popular as it was before, because people can now, you can't rule the fact that people are disenchanted with the performance of his administration. But you can't also say that he still does, that his support base has waned considerably. You can't say that in Kano. Also, it's a fact though that it's not the one on the ballot. So Asiwaju will also need the goodwill as well as Shekarau's exit is a very big plus for Atiku. And it's not as if Atiku himself does not enjoy certain level of goodwill in Kano. You know, he also has some support in Kano with Ganduje. You know, it's very good. And also remember that some big wigs in APC, they exited. Actually, from Kano South, they exited recently, and it's a plus. And let's talk about Kwankwaso. Kwankwaso is thought to be one of the most influential, you know, politicians in Kano.
Okay, let's quickly take this call. Julius is calling us from Jos. Oh, I think Julius.
Kwankwaso is thought to be one of the most influential, if not even the most influential.
Election, Ganduje has beaten.
I know. That's why I said debatably.
Back.
But
you
covered the election.
Yes, I covered the
election.
No,
2019.
No, they were leading. They were leading. PDP were leading with 43,000 votes, and they just had Nasarawa local government. And Ganduje was able to close up the gap in Nasarawa local government, and he won convincingly.
We are not saying that Ganduje is still not popular. But we are just saying that they cannot rest on their horse.
Yeah.
Kwankwaso is popular. And then Peter Obi it seems to be targeting the Sabongeri area where you have non-indigens. You know, Kano is a cosmopolitan city.
The no man's land.
No man's land. So a lot of people are. Of course, it is true that many people in those areas will be sympathetic towards Peter Obi. Yes. So Kano is that. You know, when mentioning, you know, they will mention collecting the votes state by state. You know, had their Kano, the game change. And that's where it's going to be. You know, Kano will always
you expect it's going to be like
always
that.
Make a difference. It will always be like that.
Now, Jide, since 1999, if you look at the trend, if you don't get Kano, it's going to be difficult for you to win the presidency. So, what is expected? Is there a balance of forces in Kano in terms of people that will be slugging it out, or the All Progressive Congress will be having this edge, and the edge will be so pronounced?
You know, you can lose Kano and still win the election by a wide margin, because Jonathan didn't win Kano in 2011, but he still won the election by a huge landslide. What you cannot afford is to lose Kano, Lagos, and Rivers State and expect that you win the election. You can't expect that you win if you lose all of those major states. But Kano is truly special, not because it has a higher number of registered voters, but because the political culture is richer than that of any other state. And the people are so easy to mobilize to go and vote. It has been like this for many years. The people are self-motivated to vote. The people are extremely politically conscious. And Kano has a history of producing big political juggernauts. Yes. Right from the First Republic, they've always produced big name politicians. An individual will find it difficult to dominate Kano politics. You can see that today is about 3, if not 4 of them now who are, dominating the political landscape. It's difficult for an individual to dominate political space in Kano. So Kano is expected to still record a higher vote than Lagos, despite the fact that Lagos has 7 million voters registered. Lagosians who are ready to vote, the women troop out in large numbers, the men troop out in large numbers. They don't need so much motivation to go and vote. So that works for the average politician in Kano. Now, look at the 2019 election. Shekarau was the candidate the APC candidate for Kano Central. Shekarau alone polled 556,000 votes. The votes that Shekarau polled in some states, the total number of registered voters of voters who partook in the election in some states was lower than what an individual, a senatorial candidate, polled. In Imo State, Atiku scored 334,000 votes, while Buhari scored 140,000 votes, which means the votes recorded by these two individuals in that state was lower than what Shekarau alone scored in that election. Buhari and Atiku put together scored 557,738 in Anambra State, whereas Shekarau alone scored 556,000 votes. He was the senatorial candidate who got the highest number of votes across Nigeria in the 2019 election. So Kano would always be expected to lead the nation in terms of number of people who come out on election day to vote, and that's why Bola Tinubu has prioritized Kano. He must have gone to Kano up to 4 times now, because he knows that that is a state that he cannot afford to lose. And the contest is even made stiffer by the presence of Kwankwaso in the race. Kwankwaso is very, very strong. The last election, the 2019 election, the governorship candidate of Kwankwaso's party dominated Kano Municipal. Kano Municipal with no less than 8 local government. But Ganduje got more votes in the hinterland. In fact, Ganduje defeated Kwankwaso in Kwankwaso's local government. He scored more votes. If Ganduje had not done well in those local governments outside of Kano municipality, there is no way we will have been able to win the election.
Local government to it.
So the by-election that took place in Gama Ward of Nasarawa local government was the saving grace for Ganduje, but he owes that victory to his performance in the local governments outside of the state capital, because the candidate of Kwankwaso defeated him in the more cosmopolitan local governments of the state. That's talking about Nasarawa, Dala, and all of these local governments will be fierce in those municipal local governments, because there are plenty of votes in them. There are not as many as the local government, the hinterland, but there are so many votes to fight for in that area. So I foresee a very stiff battle in Kano, and at this stage, it's difficult to say that this is the way the election will go, but I know that the election will be between Bola Tinubu and Kwankwaso in Kano. That is basically what will happen. It's going to be between those two individuals, because currently they are very strong, very, very strong in terms of the kind of people around them, in terms of the voters available to work.
All right, we'll take this breather. When we come back, we'll talk more. We're still journalists.